Hey guys, it's Go Junior Plus back down more today. I know my videos have been becoming more inconsistent recently, but dude, there's not much to go over besides like mock drafts and off season and stuff. But eventually it will pick up. This is spring break. I'm gonna try to get at least 3-4 videos out during this time, and I hope you enjoyed this one. This is my first 2-round mock draft on this channel. I'm gonna try to get through things pretty quickly here, less explanation, because I really don't want this to be like 50 minutes of me just making a mock draft I made actually a pretty long while ago. But without further ado, of course, we're going to select all teams, 2 rounds, free for all, and enter the draft room. Just like always, we start with Chicago, and I don't really see a reason to stall. They're picking Caleb Williams, and there's no reason. Like when people try to convince people, oh, actually, Trevor Lawrence is not going to the Jaguars. Yes, he is. Just like Caleb Williams is going to the Bears. Now, the next two picks are a little bit more confusing. Jane Daniels actually become the favorite to be picked here to some people over Drake May. But I'm going to stick with Drake May for now. I still think he's just a more guaranteed stud than Jane Daniels is, because Jane Daniels could easily become like Anthony Richardson, who balled out last year before being injured. But then again, he is injury prone. And I don't think you can take him over Drake May just because of the injuries. Next, we got Arizona. Don't want to waste too much time on this one either. I still think there's no chance they don't pick Marvin Harrison. Some people think they pick Malik Neighbors. I think this is one guy in particular, pretty popular mock draft guy who had them picking Malik Neighbors. But I'm going to call Marvin Harrison. I think he's just a different type of receiver. He's a different type of player. And next, we got our first trade. So, the Los Angeles Chargers are going to trade down here with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, it's pretty clear Minnesota got that pick from the Eagles, or the Texans, actually. I guess the Texans. From the Texans, so they could trade up. So here, the Chargers trade their first and their second. Minnesota gives them boom, boom, and boom, as well as a 2025 round 3 pick. So you could say Chargers lose this trade, but I mean, you only go down 6 spots. You get another first and a third next year. It's kind of hard to tell. It's only 6 spots, and the Chargers don't really have anybody they need to draft here. Vikings doing everything they can to grab J.J. McCarthy. This is the highest I've ever had McCarthy be drafted. I think the next highest was like 8 or 9. So this is new, but these teams seem very interested in this very strong QB class. So that's why I'm having McCarthy be picked so highly here. Next, we've got New York, where I have them going with Rome Odunze over Malik Neighbors. There's a chance that some teams would prefer him over Malik Neighbors. There's no way to tell, really. Like, I did not expect Christian Gonzalez to fall like 15 or 16 to the Patriots last year, but he did. Like, sometimes players just fall. But in this case, no. Malik Neighbors gets immediately scooped up by the Titans, which at least the Falcons picked the guy that I have them picking a lot in Dallas Turner. I have them either trading up for QB or picking Dallas Turner. Those are the only 2 things that I think the Falcons could do here, but no, please no. Okay, still here. But, yeah, that was the first edge rusher picked. And also, you probably noticed, no offensive linemen have been picked yet. Usually I have them picked as early as pick 5. But this time they've fallen to 9. Wait, no. Wait. Okay, I almost messed that up. But next, we've got Chicago trading down. 2 trades in the top 10. They trade number 9 to New Orleans for 114 and 245. Well, that's why I have. Oh no, and they trade their third. So it's a 5 pick swap, and then a 30 pick swap between the second and third round. So I think it's pretty equal. So you trade up 30 spots from third to second, and you trade down 5 spots in the first. I think that's a pretty equal trade. Maybe slightly you would say it's in the Saints' favor, but either way, the Saints trade up in front of anybody else. They say, all right. Normally, I feel like if these 2 were picked in like the top 8, they wouldn't go for an offensive lineman here. But one of the top guys fell all the way to 9. I think there's no way the Saints don't pick Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu here. Speaking of Fashanu, I think this is where the Jets select them here. They could pick receiver, tight end, or really anything. Next, we got the Chargers. I used to have them picking Brock Bowers. I changed it up recently, having them pick Joe Alt instead. But since I trade down here, I think they will go with Brock Bowers just outside of the top 10 with pick 11. Then we've got Denver. Still have them picking Terry and Arnold here. I mean, this board at least, Quinion Mitchell was jumped in an insane amount from like a early second rounder to an early first rounder. But we were going to have the Raiders pick him here. So that's 2 corners in a row. Maybe you could think maybe there's a bit of a run on cornerbacks. But next, the Bears, they are very happy with Jared First falling to 13. They got the trade down, get an extra second-round pick, and still get Caleb Williams and Jared Verse. That's a complete win for Chicago. Next, we got the Colts. I usually have them picking Chop Robinson, but here we're actually going to switch it up a little bit and have them trade down. They're going to trade down with a team that I pretty much always have trading up. I pretty much always have the Los Angeles Rams. Where they are. 15 and 19, and Rams also add in a 3rd round pick. You could really say that they would hold up. Let's fix this. All right. You go say trade 99. I'm going to have them trade 83 here, and this is the 3rd trade. So a lot of movement, but there was like 6 trades in the 1st round last year. So really, you can't be that surprised. But this is the last trade for a little while. The Rams here trade up the pick, Latu, the next best remaining edge, because after this, Chop Robinson is pretty far down the board. So the Rams are like, all right, we're not missing out on a pretty good player. Well, we only have to trade a 3rd round pick for him. Next, we got Seattle, and I think they're going to pick Talise Fulaga. He can get picked as early as 10 to the Jets, really. So the Seahawks are definitely 5 picking him at 16. Jaguars, I have them going with corner, which we haven't seen that be picked since the Raiders draft pick. They're going to go to quarterback. They're going to select Nate Wiggins. And the Bengals, usually I don't have J.C. Latham fall this far, honestly. He's usually picked around the 13, 14, 15 mark. I should say 13, 14 mark. Maybe even to the Jets if I had the offensive line picked earlier. But since he wasn't picked earlier, he was actually picked pretty late. The All and Fushanu ended up having Latham fall as well, and then Fuaga was also picked in front of him. But the Colts get their pick after trade down with the Rams, and they select Byron Murphy here. I still haven't picked defensive line, just this time it's the interior instead of edge rusher. Next we got Steelers, and I still have them picking Amarius Mims here. Another offensive tackle off the board. Next, Dolphins, Troy Fautanu, another offensive tackle. Eagles finally bring up the offensive tackle run and select Cooper DeJean. They're fine with him falling here. I mean, the Eagles fans want linebacker. They want defensive line. They want corner. They want anything on defense. So I think they'll be happy with this either way. Next, we got the Chargers. They're going to go with Brian Thomas. They're very happy. We'll be able to trade down, get 2 first-round picks, and still get a top receiver in this draft class. They just got Brock Bowers and Brian Thomas because they lost so many weapons. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and Quentin Johnson doesn't seem to be very good. So they're definitely going with 2 receivers here because they need to rebuild their receiver room from scratch. Next, we got Dallas, and I think they're going to go offensive line just as usual. They're going to go interior this time, though, with Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. Then we got the Packers. They go with next cornerback, Kool-Aid McKinstry, who used to be like a top 10 potential pick, but now he's fallen all the way to mid to late 1st round. Next, we've got the Bucks, and I have them going with Chop Robinson here. He fell for me. He usually gets picked up by the Colts, but he had a pretty good combine too. I still think he could be picked earlier than this. Just in this example, he happened to fall. But next, we've got Arizona, and they will be trading their pick. The 4th trade of this 1st round with Kansas City. I could definitely see them trading up because I think Xavier Worthy has been an absolute 686 and 395. So that's what this trade is being. 5 picks in the late 1st round, and then the 3rd round swapped with a 6th rounder. I think it's a pretty fair trade, honestly. Chiefs are like, all right, we want speed. We want that Tyreek Hill potential. We're going with Xavier Worthy over A.D. Mitchell, and that's our first 27 picks. We got 5 more to go in this 1st round. Bills, they select A.D. Mitchell, replacing Gabe Davis, I believe. I think they already got someone else, though. Who was it? Can't remember. But, so another receiver added to their room. They still want that deep threat. And A.D. Mitchell scored a touchdown in each of his playoff games, I believe, even in Texas. So, he's a big playmaker. Next, Lions. We're going with Johnny Newton here. out of Illinois. He gets all around the board for me. I think the earliest he gets picked is like 16th. Latest is like late first round. Now I have Byron Murphy going over him. But next, Baltimore. They're gonna go receiver. I think Keon Copeland is still a great receiver. As a person who watched Ladd McConkey either watched the highlights or watched every Georgia. I watched a lot of Georgia games this year. I know Ladd McConkey's a great receiver, but NFL receiver, we'll just have to see. Like, I'm not very confident in this guy being an NFL-like receiver. You could say he's a Cooper Kupp, but he's probably more agile and less tough with his hands. It's just kind of hard to tell, and I don't have a lot of trust in him as a first-round guy. I think it'd be a little bit of a reach. But next we got San Francisco, Graham Barton out of Duke, and finally, Darius Robinson out of Missouri to end the first round. Next we got round 2. Panthers got their pick. Usually have them trading up here, but they're going to sit and pick a receiver, Troy Franklin, out of Oregon. Now, they could still pick offensive linemen. They just signed that guy to a pretty big contract. Sorry, I'm not really good with offensive linemen names. And I think they're going to take that approach with, we're going to try to fill every hole instead of double dipping at the offensive line position here. And next we got the Patriots, and they're going to go with Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma here to protect Mr. Daniels. Next, Cardinals, Ennis Rakestraw out of Missouri. He's jumped up pretty high. Like, people even think he might be a first-round pick, which we'll see, but there's a really strong quarterback class for them to go against. And, let's see. Commanders are next, and they will select another offensive lineman, Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. It's a pretty long travel from, like, southeast to northeast, I believe, Arizona. It's more just south. It's not too eastern, I don't think. But Minnesota is next. And who did they pick last time? J.J. McCarthy. And here I'm going to have them go with a Georgia player. Go Dogs. Kamari Lassiter gets picked above Ladd McConkey as a Georgia player, whatever. Next we got Tennessee. And you might be wondering, what happened to the QBs? Like, none of them have been picked. But this is finally where our team, like, all right, we can't let these men fall anymore. So we got Tennessee, and we've got Las Vegas. It's only a 6-pick trade-up, but you cannot be sure what the Panthers, Commanders, Packers are going to do. So you trade up here. So what do we add? 4th-round pick, 112. It is pretty much a perfect trade. Raiders get Bo Nix. I picked them over Michael Penix. It's really hard to tell, but Bo Nix really... I don't think age is too big of a deal when you're picking QB, because either way, they're basically guaranteed to be at least a 10-year player. So it doesn't really matter if you're 25, 23. Either way, you're not retiring that early, most likely. So, Bo Nix, he just blew up at Oregon. When you're actually on a good team, sometimes you play well. Next, we got Carolina. Also, Bo Nix's best receiver was Troy Franklin, I believe. Wow. Penix had Roma Dunze. And also another guy. What's his name? Jalen Polk? Yeah. But I think Franklin's probably better than Polk. Panthers, I think they are actually going to go for offensive lineman here. They decided to go receiver first, but they're still very happy with Kingsley Suamataia being here. So they select him. Next, the Commanders. They finally selected Ladd McConkey. This team doesn't think they should pick receiver, but I do think they should. They lost Curtis Samuel. And honestly, McLaurin is great, but he can't do it all by himself. So they get Jake Mason help there. Packers, they select Tyler Newman. Pretty simple pick. Nothing crazy about that. First safety off the board, though. Texans, they trade out of the first round. And now they can select... Yeah, this is their first of 2 second-round picks. They can select Ricky Pearsall. He gets picked above a couple other players. But at first, scouts were pretty high on him out of Florida. He didn't do crap against us. We're the Dogs. We don't care. I don't believe he did. Next, the Falcons do end up picking receiver here. Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. I don't think we would have been against drafting a Florida player, considering we got Kyle Pitts at 4. Next, the second tight end off the board. Tennessee reaches, you might say, pick Jatavion Sanders out of Texas. But I've heard some pretty good things about him. And they said, it was one I say, his gap is closer to Brock Bowers than you think, which, if that's true, must be a GOAT, because Bowers might be the most talented player on this entire draft board. He's just a tight end. Next, Bears. They picked Zach Frazier. Any offensive line help for Caleb Williams will be useful. Colts get, I think he's a cornerback. Where is he? Yep, Mike Sainer still out of Michigan. There's a lot of Michigan players around this area, but they're going to go with the one that supports their needs the most, which is corner. Colts cornerback group isn't very good. I think they have Kenny Moore, though. He's cool, I guess. Giants finally end the quarterback drought by picking Michael Penix. They're like, okay, we might be stuck with Daniel Jones. We're at least going to try to fill up a rookie while we're at it. I mean, no matter how much you like Jones and Neville, you know that they're not it. Okay, we know that. So let's move on. Braylon Trice is the next pick for Jacksonville. He is selected over players like Chris Braswell. And I always liked him out of Washington. I think at the Falcons picking him once, but that was when he was actually mocked a little bit earlier than this. Well, a lot earlier. Bengals are going to go for another Michigan player. Last time they picked J.C. Latham. They're going to stay on the offense, picking Roman Wilson, since their offense really fell off at some times last year. Let's be honest. Bengals are really disappointing. Eagles go Edgerrin Cooper, another kind of mid-round linebacker. And it's the first one off the board, I believe. So now we just got our first safety off the board. First linebacker off the board. I don't know about running back, to be honest. But next, the Ravens trade up first and last interdivisional trade. Actually, trade in general in this mock draft. This is the last trade. So let's see. Pittsburgh and Baltimore. You don't see individual trades that much, but you definitely do see them. The only reason that's even a concept is because it happens. And both teams think they're winning this trade here. They swap a 6 for a 3rd, which I think we already saw that earlier in this draft. Yeah, Cardinals and Chiefs. So, it's a pretty similar mock, honestly. Actually, looking at the Cardinals and Chiefs, like their trade was very similar to the Steelers and Ravens trade. But yeah, Ravens trade up. They think they got the better deal here. They select Tavondre Sweat out of Texas, another interior defensive lineman out of Texas. Rams select Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. Bit of a D lineman run here, but the Eagles cut it short by picking Cooper Beebe. Where is he? Did I miss him? Cooper Beebe. He was 60. Maybe I did miss him. Or I just didn't get to him yet. But yeah, that's a pretty high pick. But offensive linemen are just really useful. And there's hard to go wrong with them. They're barely ever like absolute busts compared to other positions like receiver and quarterback. And we've got the final few picks. Browns. They're going to go with Chris Barzow here out of Alabama. Myles Garrett's great. But I think they lost to Davion Clowney. Did they even have him this year? I don't know, honestly. Actually, he's probably all been gone. But yet another defensive lineman selected by the Dolphins, Braden Fisk. And they did manage to get Christian Wilkins back, am I right? Cowboys go receiver here, Jalen Polk. And Bucks. I feel like I did this pick mostly for the memes. I had them going TJ Tampa out of Iowa State. I think they did lose a corner or two, though, by a trade. And Packers go... where is he? Malachi Corley, kind of a reach for a receiver, but yeah, we're draining the receiver talent. And dang, Jim McMillan, another Washington receiver. Texans go with Rook Ahor, Clemson defensive lineman. Yeah, another defensive lineman. Bills, though, go with secondary Cameron Kitchens out of Miami. Next is, the Lions. And Max Melton. Quarterbacks and receivers are much more likely to be drafted like highly. If they see something they like, they will pick them. Steelers go with another corner. I think he is. Yep, Chris Abrams Drain out of Missouri. 49ers pick Patrick Paul. I don't remember what college he's out of. Houston, offensive tackle. And the last pick, Chiefs go with edge rusher Marshawn Kneeland out of Western Michigan. That is how we end this draft. Let's look at the Falcons, because they're the best team in the league, obviously. Dallas Turner, Xavier Legette. And so 6 QBs went in the first 2 rounds. Unlikely that another one goes, but I guess there's a small chance that a team reaches for a QB. But yeah, I'm pretty happy this is over because I was supposed to make this video a long time ago. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next mock draft. Adios.